Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Lord. Netflix's they are premiering Quarterback on Wednesday, which features ex-Falcons quarterback Marcus Mariota along with Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes. So it's like, which is the clown that doesn't belong, guys? Which is the clown that doesn't belong? It's obviously Marcus Mariota. This guy's now the backup quarterback for the Eagles. He was really a perennial backup for most of his career after getting benched for Ryan Tannehill. But it does possess an interesting storyline for Falcons fans because of how things transpired. I know you have some strong feelings on this, Alex, so why don't you get us started?
Well, everybody in the NFL world is, and rightfully excited to see Patrick Mahomes. He's the best player in the NFL. He's longevity-wise, he'll probably end up being one of the greatest of all time. They just won the Super Bowl. Andy Reid's a character, Travis Kelce, his family, yada, yada, yada. And then the Kirk Cousins has some draw. He's a quirky, down-to-earth guy. He's not my cup of tea, but, I'm sure, there's people out there that like him. And the Vikings had an interesting season. They went on a tear, even though they had like a negative point differential. And people keep questioning the Falcons thing. Why is Marcus Mariota? First of all, this is just, Netflix is trying to get three different tiers of guys, and they clearly got them. But I don't know how this isn't gaining more national attention. Marcus Mariota came into Atlanta with a sterling reputation. Sterling. Everybody talked great about this guy. He was a consummate professional, great leader, even a better person. And then he just up and quits on the team, on Desmond Ridder when he gets benched. Nobody talked about that on the national level. Like nobody. And I hope we get the behind the scenes, what really transpired, because he had that phantom injury that never showed up on the IR before, they put him on the injury reserve and ended his season. By all intents, the guy quit on the team, and I'm eager to see the behind the scenes look at it. So
I'll go a little bit in the other direction. I think the guy's boring. I think he always has been boring. I don't care that he quit on the team. Really, he's gone now. Like, I don't want to see him. He's kind of a bum. Like, he's not interesting at all. I don't think Kirk Cousins is interesting, but at least Kirk Cousins is like kind of dorky, and he'll probably give us a few yucks. Marcus Mariota is not even that. He's just he is just bland as they come.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But I just want to know. I want to see something about, a behind the scenes look where Arthur Smith takes, or Marcus Mariota goes into the coach's office and, you can just hear it. You can't see it. Where Arthur Smith, tells him, he's like, hey man, we're going in a different direction. We're going with Ridder. And then the aftermath of that, where like Mariota is like, maybe to your point, where he shows a different side of himself, where he just goes bonkers and goes off the rails. Maybe he isn't that boring guy and he's just been suppressing the demons. And finally, this last benching was it, the final straw. I don't know. I'm just curious to know.
It's a nice idea, but I don't think that's going to happen. He's probably going to walk in the office and be like, okay, coach, I understand, and leave. Like,
I'm very interested to see if we get a sneak peek into what happened. I'm with you, Alex. I mean, I think this guy is, and I do think he's boring, but I think that's kind of his reputation. He's boring. He comes to work. He does his job, whether it's as a backup or whether it's at a starter. But for some reason with the Falcons, he obviously had a gripe with why he was benched. And when you look at how Desmond Ridder performed, I'm not saying he was anything special, but he wasn't any worse than Marcus Mariota. He was probably a little bit better. And considering he's a rookie, they needed to get him those reps and see what they have. They probably should have done it earlier. And he knew what he signed up for. He knew at the beginning of the season that if Ridder was ever even just marginally close to him, like he could have been worse, that he was probably going to get yanked for the rookie because this team wasn't competing for a Super Bowl. They needed to see what they have in this third-round rookie. So he knew what he signed up for.
That was
and then he quits on the team.
Like,
I know he had a kid
or
something like that, and people are like defending him for, maybe he wanted to be with his family. Listen, that's not an excuse to leave the team. Like maybe for a few days, but like unless there's complications, and God bless, I hope there's nothing like that. But if it's just like, oh, I have a kid, I want to go spend time with my family, I'm not starting anymore. Like, that's not an excuse. That's not a valid excuse. These people have kids. People have kids all the day. Which is why I was kind of surprised that the Eagles went out there and signed him. The Eagles are a team that Jalen Hurts is a running quarterback, and injury could definitely come up. Maybe they just thought he's the best backup possible. but it definitely was a weird way of everything transpiring and going down.
Listen, I don't want to speak, out of turn by any means. I hope everything was fine in Marcus Mariota's personal life. I don't have a gripe with the guy at all. I'm just curious to see what happened. Was it a Falcons thing? Was it a Mariota thing? But the way Arthur Smith handled it just leads me to believe it was a Mariota thing, because he said it was his decision. The injury thing was his decision. So I think it was him just
It definitely didn't come off like it was just a ho-hum regular thing, a personal matter. Like, it did not come off like that. I mean, we saw how they handled the Calvin Ridley thing. Yep. They handled it much more
protected him at all costs.
Yeah, they protected him. They didn't say anything. And yet with Mariota, they had no problem basically throwing him under the bus. Like, that's a him thing. That's not an us thing. Like, if Marcus wants to be here, he wants to be here. That's kind of basically the message that he sent to the media. And Arthur Smith's not that type of guy. He's not that type of guy. He showed it with Ridley. He doesn't show his cards. He doesn't show what's going on. It's one of the few times we've seen him basically throw someone under the bus or give us an insight at all into what's really happening behind closed doors, and that there might have been a problem, because clearly he did not seem happy. And I am excited to see if we get a glimpse of that. And if we don't get a glimpse of it, it's going to be disappointing, because that's really the only reason I'm watching this show. I guess I want to see Mahomes. Like, I'll watch it because I'll watch anything football, especially during the offseason. All that stuff's cool. But the main thing I want to see is what the hell happened to this guy and why. And maybe it's crazy, maybe it's not, but I'm definitely intrigued. Coming up after the break, we're going to stick with Falcons talk about who's the best candidate to break out in 2023.